What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to another Crown Tundra Moveset guide. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the two new legendary horses, Spectrier. Now, this Pokemon, in most people's eyes, is one of the best, if not the best, new Pokemon to come out of the Crown Tundra. As always, guys, if you're interested in competitive Pokemon content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we can't do it without you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with its stats, Spectrier really has two key stats, its special attack at base 145 and its speed at base 130. Both are really massive and really important. Starting with its speed is important because it allows you to outspeed Pokemon like Adamant Dragapult or Adamant Zorora, which is very, very useful in today's metagame. The fact that those are two of the best and most commonly played Pokemon in the game is super, super valuable. It also lets you outspeed Torrentee, which in my eyes is going to be one of the best Pokemon to come out of the new DLC in terms of releases. And then moving on to its special attack, it has 145 special attack. That is so freaking good. It is insane how hard it hits, and just pairing it with its ability in Grim Neigh makes it so hard to switch into, especially if you get the ball rolling with one KO. It really makes it tough for your opponent to switch in on this thing, especially if their dark or normal type is down for the count, or at least weakened a little bit. Its special defense at base 80 is okay, but it really shines because it has 100 base HP, very valuable, taking its frailty on the physical side to new heights and making its special defense a lot more respectable too. As for its typing, pure Ghost. Ghost has been one of the best typings, if not the best typing in the entire OU metagame. The big thing that stopped them a lot earlier on was going to be Pursuit, but since Sword and Shield came out, that move has been cut from the game, meaning it's a lot easier for Ghost types to just run free and dominate in this meta. We see Pokemon like Dragapult, Gengar, Alolan Marowak just be absolutely insane in OU, and in Draft League, it's so much harder to prep for. Obviously, you know what your opponent's going to be bringing, but at the same time, not everyone has really solid answers to Spectrier. There's only a very limited number of dark types, and not everyone wants to draft a normal type on their team. This Pokemon is weak to a few types, being Ghost and Dark, but it has two resistances to Poison and to Bug, and it's immune to Normal and Fighting, so it makes a very welcome addition to a lot of different teams, providing very unique type coverage and defensive options. Now, as for its moves, I'm not going to go down, show you guys a list of moves because it really is super limited. There's basically like 10 viable moves, and I'll kind of list them off here, but most of the time you're going to run a combination of Shadow Ball, Hex, Mud Shot, a random normal move, Dark Pulse, Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, a Will-O-Wisp, Substitute, Taunt, and maybe, just maybe, Disable. Other than that, it's really not going to be much else. If it had any better coverage, I think it would probably be banned, and we all know this. It's way too good in terms of its stats, its typing, its ability to allow it to have that good coverage and still expect it to be in OU or in standard draft leagues. We could all say we'd love for it to get Earth Power, Mystical Fire, Draining Kiss, or Dazzling Gleam. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. Fingers crossed I can get it next gen, but if it does, it's going to be busted up to Ubers real quick. Alright, now let's talk about some potential sets. You guys see on your screen the first one I'm looking at here. It is a Choice Spec set with Shadow Ball, Mud Shot, Hex, and Dark Pulse. One of the most common switch-ins to this Pokemon has been something like Hydreigon, which completely walls this set, so definitely something to worry about. The good news is a really prominent dark type in Tyranitar is still hit at least super effectively by Mud Shot. Mud Shot is still very weak at base 55 power and not only 95 accuracy, which is not great. The good news is lower speed, not super useful, but could come in handy once in a while. Shadow Ball and Hex are going to be your stabs, very spammable options, especially if you get up Toxic Spikes. Everything will get status, and then Hex can just run 3B 130 base power, destroying everything in sight. The speed's going to be max speed. We kind of have to do that. It speed ties Tapu Koko, which is very nice. It outspeeds Adamant or Modest, Zorora, and Dragapult, so very important to do in this metagame. And this speed, if you're playing Draft League, is like one of the best speeds you can possibly reach. Not many teams reach this level of speed on one Pokemon, and just having it early on is very, very valuable. Another set I brought up was a Choice Scarf set. I think Choice Scarf is not as good as Choice Specs. It's just useful to have just to be safe. I mean, the reason why I don't think this is necessarily the best set in the world is because Dragapult exists. Dragapult is a much better Ghost type, and just the fact that it can be faster. Scarf is a very common set to run as well, and it gets Dragon Dance too, so in case you are running a Scarf set and it gets a free Dragon Dance, which in all likelihood it probably will, then it's just going to outspeed you and OHKO you anyways with whether it's a Shadow Ball or a Phantom Force. You got to be worried about that too. Other than that, we do have a Spell Tag set. This set is running Nasty Plot as one of its other coverage moves, or not coverage moves, but one of its setup options, with Shadow Ball, Mud Shot, and Hex. Of course, very, very strong because you can hit everything. Once you get the +2, it's 145 base special attack. If you get the +2, KO something, and then they bring in Tyranitar or something like that, you still hit it for incredible damage, doing a ton to it. It's very useful to make sure you can get that damage off against a lot of the metagame and really forcing problems for your opponents and forcing them into tough situations to make tough decisions. And that's what you really want. If you can get your opponents to make tough decisions and they make a mistake, you can capitalize it on that point. And that's kind of how we got to play this game, right? After that, the next set I'm bringing up is going to be this leftover set with Substitute and Calm Mind. Again, I'm not touching the EVs here. I don't feel like it's very important to touch the EVs. I like the speed on this. Substitute could be nice if you had max HP. That way your sub's not broken by something like Seismic Toss, I'm going to say. Seismic Toss doesn't really matter because you're not going to be touched by it, so should be fine. But Calm Mind is there because you want to make sure you can boost up your special defense, which is very useful. Obviously not boosting up your special attack as much, but lets you take hits on the special side, recovering back some HP with your leftovers. At the end of the day, you really start putting a lot of pressure on your opponent's team, forcing them to beat you with a physical Pokemon. Next up, I'm going to be talking about this set here, which is the subset with Will-O-Wisp and Hex as its main Ghost Stab. The reason we're running this set here is because it'll allow you to really effectively beat down a lot of Pokemon that would be coming in. Most of them are going to be physical. You hit them with the Will-O-Wisp, they then become a lot easier to deal with. But at the end of the day, there are other options to run. Hex is very useful, whether it's a Will-O-Wisp or Toxic Spikes are up, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage. If you burn a Toxapex, then its knockoff won't break your sub, its Scald won't break your sub. Basically, if it's not running Haze, you can set up all over it. I know most Toxapex run Haze, but you never know what you might find on the ladder. It's a very strong set, and I'm hoping that this set kind of sees the most amount of play. I think it'll be the Spec set that sees the most, but you never know how the meta is going to shape out. After that, we do have a Shadow Ball, Mudshot, Taunt, and Nasty Plot set. This set here is very useful to kind of shut down opposing statuses against you, shut down any phasing you may have. This set does beat Toxapex if it's not carrying knockoff, so it's very important to note. You can set up all over it with Nasty Plot, fire off mud shots, and do huge amounts of damage to it. Shadow Ball should be doing a bit more than that because it is stab, so it reaches about 120 points of power, while Mudshot reaches only about 110. But either way, it's a very strong set. All these sets, you can't go wrong with them. I think the worst set that I've shown you today is definitely going to have to be the Choice Scarf set over here. Probably the one that's going to struggle the most to deal with a lot of your opponent's threats because there's just other Pokemon that do this role a bit better. Now let's talk about some of its potential teammates. Looking at this, there's a few types I really want to bring up. The big one is a fighting type. A fighting type, a really good one at that, is super important to have, and in my opinion, I think you need to have one that gets momentum. Reason for that is because you can destroy the normal types and the dark types that are going to be coming in to check Spectrier, and at the same time, you can U-turn out of there against an unfavorable matchup in the worst case and go into something like a Spectrier. If your opponent has a Ghost type and you have, I don't know, a Mienshao and you want to go for high jump kick or whatever, then you can just U-turn out, don't have to worry about taking that 50% of chip because your opponent switches into a Ghost type. You go into your own Ghost type, which likely will outspeed because it's got 130 base speed, and just fire off stab super effective Shadow Balls against your opponent's entire roster. Some Pokemon I would pair with Spectrier would be something like Mienshao, either form of Urshifu Rapid Strike or Single Strike, Blaziken with its newly learned U-turn and its powerful fighting moves, speed boost as well, super valuable. How long it stays in the tier, I don't really know, but we'll see. And then Galar Zapdos is another new toy that would be very, very strong with Spectrier. This kind of plays into my next point because the next teammate that I would want to pair with Spectrier is something that gets access to Toxic Spikes and regular Spikes, and Zapdos really appreciates that as well. So Toxic Spikes users are phenomenal with Spectrier. The reason for that is because it allows you to Toxic everything that is grounded or not, and not a Steel or Poison type, and then you can fire off 130 base power hexes against your opponent's entire team. Super, super terrifying for them to deal with, and it's going to be very hard for them to switch in, remove those hazards while staying healthy at the same time, and not having their team just be absolutely broken down by Spectrier and your fighting type that you have alongside it. If they also get other hazards, it's just a big plus. I think some really solid options are going to be Scolipede, Roserade, and Quillfish. They all get access to Spikes and Toxic Spikes. They have varying degrees of usage, and Scolipede can be a sweeper in its own right. As for this Pokemon's strengths, its typing is amazing. Pure Ghost is probably the best typing in the entirety of Generation 8, so I'm a big fan of having Pure Ghost. Its ability is amazing, allowing you to snowball and just break a team or just win games easily or just outright. Its ability to do that is unmatched in the OU metagame and in Draft League. As for its weaknesses, it really has no coverage, and that limits how often or how quickly it can sweep. And the issue, again, like I said before, Dragapult exists. Dragapult is just a better Ghost type in my opinion. The fact that it just gets coverage in general, it's faster, it can hit really hard as well with Dragon Dance or with Life Orb or Choice Specs, has access to Infiltrator to get behind subs. I think it's just much better than Spectrier, and it's going to cause a major problem for Spectrier usage down the road. But honestly, that's really all I have. Spectrier is a really solid Pokemon overall. It's a really strong one at that. It just has a couple weaknesses that can be exploited, but it has a couple strengths that just are unmatched in the entire metagame. What do you guys think about some other potential strengths and weaknesses about Spectrier? I'd love to hear them down in the comments below. I answer to every single comment I get on all of my videos, so I'd really appreciate you guys if you commented down below. Anyways, that's going to be it for me for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a massive favor and leave a like on the video. And of course, like I said before, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you guys like competitive Pokemon content, this is the place for you. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot do it without you. I've also been posting daily for the Crown Tundra. We have moveset guides on Galar Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres, and Glacier, and now add Spectrier to the mix. Tomorrow and Thursday, I'll be posting videos on Regieleki and Regidrago. Which order, I don't know, but we'll see how that goes. If you guys want to see Regieleki first, let me know down in the comments. If you want to see Regidrago first, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.